All right, welcome back to another week of Red Sox Wrap 360. The Red Sox started off a little slow this week, but picked it up. Now we're on a 2-game win streak. We'll tell you all about it on this week's Red Sox Wrap 360.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
We got magic.
Ooh, I love the beginning of this song. It just makes me feel like something monstrous is going to happen, like somebody's just about to come up and mash a monster home run way deep into center field. That's right. This is David Ortiz's intro music. And what better way to lead off the show than to talk about Big Papi, who's been mashing it all year for us. This week he hits number 521 to tie himself with the all-time greats, including Ted Williams, Mr. Teddy Ballgame himself. Wow, what a big week for the Red Sox. Like I just mentioned, David Ortiz hitting that big home run. Xander Bogaerts continuing to mash balls all over the place. And also another couple great starts for David Price, including today, where he didn't get a lot of run support, but still got enough to get it done. Love to see that. As most of you guys know, I'm Ben Fay. You can find me on Twitter at BennyFrickinJam. I've seen that a lot of you guys have been commenting on our YouTube videos lately and subscribing to our iTunes feed, so thank you all for that. And as always, my loyal co-host, Mr. Mike Conley.
What's up, gang?
And he's coming in again live from Beantown. Mike.
That's right. One more week of this, Ben, and then I'll be back with you in studio. But just enjoying my time out here. Huge week for Papi. Less than huge week for the Red Sox. Kind of a little lackluster 500 week, but they did kind of turn it around in the Seattle series, getting those last two to kind of save the week.
They did. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I might have seen you in the friendly confines of Fenway this week. Is there any truth to this?
There is truth to that. I went to the finale of the Baltimore series thinking my, rooting prowess would bring the team the victory in the rubber match of that series. However, to no avail, and they dropped a 5-1 loss that night. I was thinking about going back the next night, but once my 90-year-old uncle told me after the 5-1 loss, oh, that's probably the worst game they played all series. I mean, all season, excuse me. I was like, oh, sweet. And I was there. Yeah. So I kind of thought I was just a little bit of a much, so I should probably stop and, see what they can do versus the Mariners without me in attendance.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, I used to have that bad luck too, but I'll talk about it another time, but I had a famous trip with the man that you actually spent that game with, Andrew Duffy. We went on the trip to go see the 2013 Red Sox in St. Louis, saw them win 2 in a row, and then head back to Boston and saw them win Game 6 to clinch the World Series. So I think after that, my luck has officially turned around, but, I'm going to we'll have to see the next time I get out to Fenway to see how that goes. Anyways.
Most definitely. Mad ups to Duffy. Much appreciation. Treated real well there by him and the rest of the Royal Rooters. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we love Andrew Duffy on this show. He's one of our biggest podcast fans, so shout out to Duffy for hooking Mike up and treating him like family. So let me get back to today's game, Mike. We had a big game, big Father's Day game. Let's get to the most important part of today. How about those blue unis, Mike? What'd you think about those?
I actually kind of liked them. I kind of liked them.
I kind of liked them.
I might be running down to Twin Souvenirs tomorrow and getting one of those hats with the light blue bees. I did like those a little bit.
They looked great. So we had Price going today. And, he actually went earlier on in the week, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But Price went again today and continued to not get the type of run support that the other Red Sox starters are getting, a.k.a. Stephen Wright. Not sure why the Red Sox are continuing to not give the man some run support, but, for his 2 games that he pitched this week, he's been lights out, right? I mean, he's really been throwing the ball well. Another great start today. We did see Gutierrez hit a bomb off him again today, but Gutierrez was hot this whole series. If you recall, on Friday he had that 2 home run game where he hit some monster home runs. Other than that, though, David Price pretty much keeping the Seattle Mariners under control. He looked good. We did get a home run from Mookie today, which was great to see. I mean, gosh, we love seeing those. And he is flirting so close with 300 too. I don't think he's been over 300 yet this season, though. So, I'd like to see that happening at some point. But I guess, if we'll have to settle for 295 and home runs every now and then, we'll just have to deal with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you bring up the whole run support issue, and it's really just funny how fickle that is, run support, because earlier in the season, when Price couldn't pitch his way out of a wet paper bag, he was getting wins because the run support was so great, and we weren't scoring any for the knuckler, Stephen Wright. Mm-hmm. And now the tables have totally turned, and we're scoring some great runs for Wright, but not so much for Price.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, I mean, the good thing is that he did get the win today, and without a lot of run support. He looked great, which is, exactly what we were hoping was going to happen, was that, that early season struggles are behind him, and now he's really just dialing it into form. That's great to see. One thing that did worry me from today's game was Hanram getting himself in a little bit of a pickle there, pun intended. The Red Sox were in the middle of a potentially big inning there, and Hamran, I don't know what he was doing. He was sleeping at first base, got himself in a pickle, and he kind of killed the momentum in that inning. That could have been a really big one for us. Not sure if you caught that play, Mike, but the guy's got to figure it out on the base path in juxtaposition to the play that he made yesterday, where he was rounding third base, got the hold sign from our third base coach, and kept right on going. And I mean, it was the right play. Definitely, he should have kept going. The throw was a little off coming into home plate, but I mean, it looked like he would have made it anyways. I don't know. Maybe he's just got to figure things out, on the base path a little bit better. But
well, the right play, Ben, as I'm sure you heard in Little League, and any little sluggers watching the program should know, is to do what your third base coach says. And if you get the stop sign, pull up there. All right, that's just Hanley being Hanley on both those plays.
Yep.
That's something we've come to expect around here in Boston with the Ramirez guys.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think about that? I mean, he's kind of been a little bit of a slump lately. This week he's shown signs. I mean, he's maybe ready to break out. I think he had a home run this week.
Had a couple solid. Was a shot.
It was a shot. Yeah. And he's made a couple good plays at first base as well, a couple good digs. But again, like some of the things that he does, I guess it's kind of like Hanley being Manny almost. You just have to live with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he has kind of shown some things tonight. I mean, Jerry Remy seems to think he's just gonna start to explode, and that would be great news because he hasn't really done it at this point. And he is making $22 million a year, so we would like a little bit, better production out of him than maybe what's he got, 6 bombs right now?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't finish the season in the mid-20s, it's like give some of your money back.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, we'll hopefully get him on the right track eventually here, and maybe that comes down to, some of his teammates, give him a little kick in the butt. Maybe Ortiz saying, "Hey, get it together a little bit, buddy," or maybe it's the manager's job, old Johnny Boy, to step up and say, "Look, man, you're kind of letting your teammates down here in critical situations. We like the good things you do. Let's cut out the bad things." I don't know.
I think it's kind of like we were saying earlier. It's like those Ramirez boys. It's kind of like you almost got to treat them with kid gloves and just kind of let them do their thing, and really don't discipline him at all until it gets to a really egregious thing, like if he's messing with the chemistry of the locker room. But
sure.
It doesn't seem to be a chemistry issue at this point with this team.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing we saw today, Mike, was Big Papi stealing a base, his 17th career steal. That was his second steal this season. It looked like he just got a great jump on it. No, in all seriousness, it looked like Seattle was not even paying attention. It didn't look like they were expecting him to steal it. And, heads up play by Papi, kind of noticed that and went for it. Let me throw you out some really random statistics that I found, Mike, about David Ortiz and steals.
I love that.
As I mentioned, he has 2 steals this season. There are 2 other seasons in David Ortiz's career where he's had 2 steals in those seasons. You want to hear the seasons?
Yes, please.
2007 and 2013.
Oh,
I mean, whoa, is that
like
a sign? Is that a sign?
Oh, I love that. That is nice.
That's right. Coming straight from our Red Sox Wrap 360 analytics department. That's why you guys tune in, so you can get these types of stats so that you know that this is going to be a big season.
What a huge budget show this is. We just had the whole research department. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yep. Something else I noticed during the game, I'm not even sure if you caught this or if you have any thoughts about it. There was a fan who was behind home plate, and he had a foul ball hit to him. Lost the first one, and I know it's kind of been like a popular thing in the Red Sox cast this year, where they kind of make fun of people who drop the balls, foul balls or home run balls on the monster or whatever. Believe it or not, this kid who dropped his first chance at catching that foul ball, he gets another chance and makes it. He was so pumped. Mike, have you ever caught a foul ball at a baseball game before, or got a ball in the stands or anything like that?
I have not.
Yeah.
I actually. The guy I went to the game with the other night, besides Stuffy, was my oldest friend in the world, Greg Power.
Okay.
And the closest I ever came to a ball was when he and I were at a game as well. He was sitting on my right side. I was sitting down, reading the program, and he reached over me and just had a foul ball go off his fingertips.
Oh.
So if I'm alert, that's probably a basket catch for me,
Yeah.
Didn't make it. Didn't make it.
It's crazy. It's just crazy because I was trying to think back and there was only one time where I've ever had a ball hit to me, and it wasn't during a game. It was actually when I was on the monster during batting practice. And for any of you guys who have ever been out on the monster during batting practice, is great. You're just getting peppered with balls all during batting practice. So I brought my glove, and I literally just stood up there, and the first time I turned around, I had a ball headed right toward me, and I just stuck my hand out and, went right in there. And that's the only time it's ever happened. I couldn't believe that this kid had 2 foul balls hit to him in the same game. Crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that guy? I forget where he is, if it's Chicago or what, but he got 5 balls in one game, and he's got over 100 in his career or something.
Yeah, what does he run analytics to figure out where the best places to sit are to catch foul balls, according to and he moves around during the games too, right? Or does he stay in the same spot? I don't know. I've heard about that guy though. That's crazy.
Maybe the Sox have to bring him in to kind of help him with this shifting.
Yeah, I think there was a game earlier this year where he caught 4 or 5 foul balls in a single game. Yeah. And they don't track stats on that, but they're pretty sure that's the first time that's ever happened.
Right.
All right, so big news. I'm not sure if it was before or after the game that this came out, but right before the podcast started, I found out that Rusney is now on waivers. How did that happen?
He sure is. This is the kind of move that you almost want to say it's bold, but it's not really, because Rusney was part of the old regime,
Yeah.
And so this is just another example of Dave Dombrowski just saying, yeah, whatever, we'll just eat that money and move on. Here we go. We're gonna, we're gonna move on from that bad contract. It wasn't one I signed, of course.
Right.
But see you later. Go packing. Also, our so one Cuban product is said bye-bye to. We certainly hope somebody places a waiver claim on it, which is certainly not going to happen. And our other Cuban product, Mr. Yoan Moncada, gets a promotion today to Double-A Portland.
Ooh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
It is exciting.
Ooh.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing a little outfield out there.
Yeah. Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. And just a little asterisk on that Rusney update there. He did get the start earlier in the week for Chris Young, who was battling. I think it was either like a hamstring or a quad injury, or it was like a slight tightness, something like that, where they just wanted to give him the day off, so they put him in there. I guess they just are really not confident that that's the guy for them going forward. Especially considering that he is playing the position of a spot that's probably the weakest within our lineup, right? I don't think they think that's the guy. I wouldn't be surprised if we're out there actively looking for a rent-a-player that can kind of work hand in hand with Chris Young, and then when Brock Holt comes back, to kind of have Brock Holt be more of that utility guy that we've seen him play that role in previous seasons. So I don't know, if, Mike, what your thoughts are on that. Have you heard anything about Red Sox trying to find I think it was they were looking for a left fielder, maybe a right-hand bat, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like it all depends on what it's going to cost, and if they are going to go and deal a bunch of prospects, I would rather that be for pitching.
Yeah.
Especially bullpen help.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting a left fielder, because between Holt and Young and maybe even like an Anthony Benintendi coming up, how I believe that kid is mature beyond his years. Are always those 4-year college guys are, and they can kind of go through the minor leagues like that. He could be a guy that can even help us this year. And if we do see Moncada, playing a little outfield in Portland, that's how guys make the jump. They go from Double-A to the big leagues these days, and his speed would play right now in the bigs.
Yep.
But I would like to see him, give him some seasoning down in Double-A.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, I think that those two names are probably some of the most untouchables as far as any trade talk is concerned. Benintendi, Moncada, and then Espinoza. I think those three are really the guys that they're going to try to avoid trading at all costs, unless they're going to really get some studly starting pitcher, something like that.
In a perfect world, I'd agree with you, but
yeah.
It's a supply and demand,
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of people looking for. There's going to be a lot of little supply and a lot of demand. So that's going to mean the opportunity to get fleeced in a deal is very high.
I'll tell you what the good side of it is, and even if they do end up getting rid of some of those guys who are, some of those guys that are in our organization, besides, Yuhara, Tazawa, and David Ortiz, the rest of our starters, the rest of our 25-man rotation is pretty much locked in for the next 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, unless there's like some really big shakeup or, somebody is just really declining quickly, this young core that we have right now, this is going to be the core that you see for a long time. So, in that case, you're not going to be as penalized, or the outlook's not going to be so grim if you let one of those guys go in order to get, a good starting pitcher, especially when you're talking about, winning this season. Put yourself in a good position to win this season, and then, hey, maybe, for the next couple of years, you're also in contention.
Yeah. I'm preparing for our farm system to be pretty much barren by the end of the trade deadline because that's what Dombrowski does.
Yep.
He trades for veterans. He
Yep.
trades prospects for veterans. So we'll see. Don't get too attached. But I don't see Moncada going. And I would like to hang on to Espinosa as well, but I could see anybody else going.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Another guy who's been doing really well this week for the Red Sox is our boy Xander.
Oh.
Now, I don't know. I think it was earlier this week where he made a play where he dove head first into first base. I forget was it this week that he did that, or was it last week? I forget which week it was.
I think he might have one of those in successive weeks.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay, so why the heck does he keep doing that? Like, he seems like a pretty bright guy, right? Everybody knows that it's not faster diving headfirst into first base. And also, didn't Pedroia have an injury like that where he slid headfirst into first base and, like, ended up messing up one of his fingers or his hand or something? I mean, like, somebody's got to tell him to stop doing that. Like, if he goes down for a month with a jammed finger, or he, knock on wood, breaks his finger or something, or some guy steps on his hand, that's the one guy that I do not want out of our lineup for a month. Like, somebody's got to tell him to stop doing that.
Yeah, I don't want to see Devin Marrero manning shortstop for a month. No, thank you.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Somebody relay the message to Xander. No more slides into first base, okay?
Oh.
On a positive note, Xander is on a freaking tear. That's why we don't want him to get hurt, because he's doing so good this season. He is on track right now, last time I checked, for something in the ballpark of 240 hits this season.
That would match the record. That's Boggs' Red Sox record, I believe.
Red Sox
240
record.
hits in a season.
And I was looking back at some of the past seasons to see, like, what the most hits were in the past couple seasons. I found a couple. Ichiro in 2004 had 262 hits, and in 2007 he had 238 hits. So that would be, like, not only like a Red Sox record, but one of the best hitting performances that the Major League Baseball has seen for pretty much a decade. Since Ichiro, and we've seen that he is. I think he just actually tied Pete Rose, which has kind of been a little bit of a contentious debate on. He actually tied Pete Rose for most career hits, even though a majority, or like a couple thousand of those, 1,000 or so of those hits were in Japan. So people are all contentious about, okay, well, does that really count? Or, because Pete Rose was doing this in the MLB for his whole career. So, like the Japan leagues, that's not the same level of competition as he was going up against. So should that really count?
No,
I don't know.
Shouldn't count.
Yeah.
Shouldn't count.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of in the same idea. Like, props to the guy for having a long career and being able to, get so many hits. And, like, the way that he did it too was just like kind of, he did it his own way, and we never really saw anybody do it like that before, which is great. But, when you start trying to compare him to Pete Rose, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Pete Rose was amazing in that aspect. So, talking about some throwbacks here besides Pete
Guy
Rose.
rolls a hell of a craps game too.
Yeah, that's right. He does.
Oh yeah. Old Petey. Put him in the hall. I mean, I want the guy to be in the hall for what he did on the field, but every time he has an opportunity to not stick his foot in his mouth, he goes ahead and sticks his foot in his mouth.
Yeah, he does.
Just let it be, Pete.
Yeah, he's trying to make the money off of off of his story and off of that whole career that he had and the way that all panned out. And I mean, I don't blame him, but at the same time, you're not gonna make any friends getting into the Hall of Fame if you keep yapping like that. So
yeah, I mean, just show a little humility once in a while there, buddy.
Yeah.
But did you see, how about Xander's home run yesterday? I mean, that ball that was inside by about 6 inches.
Okay.
It's like, the quick hands we have
Mike,
on this team.
Mike, tell our viewers about that home run that Xander hit, because that was pretty amazing.
It was just incredible. And, Remy had the Rem Dog was all over it once it happened, because it's probably a pitch that everybody just takes as a ball, because it's, 4 to 6 inches inside off, and it was up a little, and he just and a lot of guys, if they do swing at it, that thing is like out on Yawkey Way. I mean, that is pulled foul so quickly. The fact he was able to keep that fair, pull his hands in, keep him inside the ball, and still get the barrel of the bat on the baseball is just incredible. And,
Yeah.
I mean, this kid's just a joy to watch.
Yeah, that was a crazy home run. The location of that pitch and how he got to it. If you didn't see it, go back and watch a clip of that. Xander is amazing. He has a legit opportunity to be the MVP this year, and we are watching him get better every single day. And it's crazy. Like, I feel like a broken record, because we say it every single week about how awesome he is. But he is. He's doing it.
Yeah, and it seems like the killer bees there. It just seems like every day they're just like trying to one up each other. Like, okay, who's gonna do something that you haven't seen in the longest time today? And like, who's gonna turn on a pitch and shoot it out with ridiculous exit velocity this week? And it's like Bradley kind of like tapered down a little bit. He kind of cooled off, but that home run the other day was nice, and maybe he's picking it up again.
Yep. Yeah, he's still hitting it hard. He's always hitting it hard, which is the good thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just ends up going straight to an outfielder, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, you gotta love the solid contact he's getting. The other thing, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I would just wanted to say one thing, that I'm a little bit of alarmed about. Dropping those 2 out of 3 Baltimore earlier in the week, those are series we have to take at Fenway. All right, and we really, we talked about being a maybe 10 games over 500 team each 2-month increment. When we were at the end of 2 months of the season, come June 1st. But if you look here in June, we're still hovering around that 10 games over 500 mark. So it's like we've been playing 500 ball here for like the past 3 weeks. And that's not going to be good enough, because if you look at the Red Sox schedule, after like July 26th, they have 2 11-game road trips, a 9-game road trip, and a 10-game road trip. Just in like a little over the final 2 months of the season. So there isn't going to be much of the friendly confines coming up here in the last third of the season. So this middle third of the season is really where they have to rack up some home wins, and I'm getting a little nervous that they're not doing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you. I led the show saying, rough start this week for the Red Sox, because, we had Price go there on Tuesday, and, just right away gave up the 2-run home run in the first inning and to Machado, and that, that really hurt. And I'm thinking, man, we got to get some run support for this guy. Like I keep saying it every week. And the Orioles, they just continue to pound the ball hard. And, actually in that game on Tuesday, they became the fastest team to 100 home runs since the 2009 Yankees. So these guys are mashing home runs, and they're capitalizing hard on the Red Sox pitchers as well. It's definitely a little disconcerting to see that. But again, I mean, look, Price pitched relatively well after that, and I really would like to see some more run support. It seems like the bats had cooled off a little bit at the beginning of this week, and just toward the end of the week they started to pick up a little bit. So hopefully that will continue into this next week.
I mean, you got to kind of give credit to the Baltimore pitchers. I mean, here we are, 65 or so games into the season, and Baltimore's still right there, and they have gotten great pitching, and that's something we didn't think they were going to get.
Yeah, well, and they also have the second best shortstop in the league, Machado. He's been raking it. Trumbo's been raking it. Chris Davis, he's typically hitting a lot of home runs too. I don't even think he's really broken out yet this year, so I think he's still got something left. It's a scary team, right? Like the AL East is scary. Orioles being one of the scarier teams out there.
Yeah, I mean, if this pitching holds up, we just keep wanting it to fade, and it just hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yep.
a little scary.
Yep. Another note that came out of Tuesday's game, there was a play in which Xander had ball 4 called as strike 2. He actually tossed his bat and was about to start walking, and that became called a strike. I actually think we got robbed on that play. That was a really important play, and I don't know how the heck that ball got called a strike. But the very next pitch, he ended up grounding into a double play to end the inning. That was a very unfortunate play. I really, that one hurt a lot. That could have been a game changer right there. I'm not sure if you saw that play, Mike, but just a terrible, terrible call. I'm really surprised that Xander didn't blow up or that Johnny didn't charge out and get ejected. Because it was such a big play, and nobody really even seemed to talk about it that much. But just looking back on it, really bad one.
I did want to get your take on something, Ben. I know you're a big fan of this guy.
Oh,
Clay Buchholz back in the rotation.
yes.
What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. He's been pitching relatively well out of the bullpen lately. His control hasn't been great. We've seen him walk a couple guys, but ultimately he's not gotten in, not letting in. I don't think he's letting in any runs yet from the bullpen. He's pitched relatively well. He looks like he's getting a little bit better control over his pitches. Look, here's the thing. He's not going to be any worse than Erod or Roenis. So ultimately, do I think that he deserves to be in the starting rotation? Yes, I think he does. He's shown that at least he can get past the 4th inning, right? He'll throw 100 pitches and get to the 5th inning, but, that's better than what our other options are. So, it looks like at this point that the Red Sox are going to go ahead and put Buchholz back into the starting rotation. I got news from my insiders, a.k.a. Mom and Dad, that he was in the dugout today. He was not in the bullpen, so that puts more substance behind the fact that, yes, we are going to see him. And, Mike, I think you heard that he is going to start this week?
Oh, yeah, it's been announced already. He'll go Tuesday, so he's back in there, and his first assignment will be to go up against Chris Sale, one of the toughest lefties in the game, when we hit the White Sox this week. So
yeah, well, welcome back, Buchholz. Welcome back, buddy.
Red Sox today 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position.
Oh my God! Wow, that's
leaving 11 on base. That's not good.
And we're actually they set a stat today during the game that the Red Sox are actually leading. I'm not sure if it's the AL, the big leagues, leading in 2-out RBIs. So that's actually pretty interesting that you caught that. And then actually the number 2 in that category, the Seattle Mariners. So just something interesting. I don't know if that's something that's particularly jumped out to me as I've been watching the games, but definitely something to kind of look at going forward.
Well, definitely, like when they have, these games when Price isn't getting any run support, that's the first thing I look at when they don't score runs, because they put 11 hits together today and they only get 2 runs. You definitely know it's going to be hurting with the runners in scoring position. And that is something like they've been pretty good with this year, but I'll tell you what, the 0-15 Red Sox had a lot of those games.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate to see some bad habits creeping back up.
Right, absolutely.
So,
well, Mike, we have a couple minutes left. Here's what I wanted to do. Last week, we were kind of getting shoved off the stage, and so we didn't get to talk a little bit about it, but we have had some of our fans been reaching out on YouTube and via Twitter, which has been great. I have one question for you from Adam Boudreau.
Oh!
He asked you what hat you were wearing last week, and actually somebody else asked me that too. I forget who it was. What hat were you wearing last week? I think it was like a old Indians hat or something like that. What was that?
That was a Boston Braves throwback
that was a
hat.
Boston Braves throwback hat.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That was
hot.
on loan from a producer on this end, my nephew Kevin Martin. There you go. Bring it back in, buddy. There you go.
Oh, there it
Hey!
is. That's the one right there. Oh man,
That's the one.
That's
The
hot.
one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. So the more important. I don't know if it's the more important question, but the more relevant to this show. Swihart versus Vasquez. This was what we left off with last week. We said we were going to talk about it this week, and I think a little bit has changed since actually, that question came up last week. Why don't you give me your thoughts first, Mike, and I'll let you know what I think.
Well, you know me, Ben. I'm a big Vasquez fan, and it's just when you're talking up the middle, and by that I mean catcher, second base, shortstop, center field, and I know Mr. Dave Dombrowski agrees with me on this. You look defense first, and hitting second, and so Vasquez, that's the knock on him. He hasn't hit, and he's kind of been in a little rut lately. I think he was 0 for 4 today. He did have 2 hits yesterday, though, and Remy, rightly so, gave John Farrell some props because, this is a guy that, we need to get him going. He was kind of in a little bit of a rut. So what do? You take a little bit of get him out of his head a little bit and put him up there in a hit and run situation where you have to put the ball in play on this pitch. And, it takes a lot of the second guessing out of this. And he hit the ball on the screws twice yesterday and even had some hot outs today. So, all we need this guy is to be a 250 hitter. He's great at handling his staff.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Porcello loves the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that, I talked a few weeks ago about our depth and how I love Sandy Leone, and then Sandy Leone comes up and gets like 5 straight hits on the way. And interesting to know, Clay Buchholz, his best ERA with any catcher is with Sandy Leone. And when he had that run last year, where he had that stretch where he was like 8-1 and 9 starts and the ERA sub 2, Sandy Leone was the catcher. So it's interesting to see how that plays out. But you're going to go Swihart because you go back.
Well, I was going to say, we actually have a third kind of question mark within that mix now with Sandy Leone. He's been stepping in this week, and it looks like he's been hitting pretty well. But yeah, I think you're definitely right on the ball when you say, and we've talked about this on the show before. Vasquez definitely a superior defensive catcher. I was reading some stats about his last 2 starts with Wright, how he's had I think like 2 pass balls, no base runners advancing on wild pitches, and anybody who's trying to go stealing, I think they're like 0 for 2. So I mean, defensively, this guy is the superior catcher. Just of note, they did give him a little bit of days. They gave him a couple days off this week. I heard that they put him in the cage during some of those days off. And it looked like when he came back that he was a little bit more comfortable behind the plate. I'm not sure if there were any adjustments to the swing or if it was just a matter of get in there, get some cuts in, and see if we can figure this thing out.
Yeah, they had some footage there on there. He was working with Chile, and Chile, it seemed like what Chile had him doing was, okay, if the ball's away, take it away. If the ball's inside, rip it and pull it. Mm-hmm. And so he did that, and then in his first 2 hits of yesterday's game, I think he got his 2 hits and his first 2 at-bats. He went the other way on the first one and pulled the second one. So, hopefully it's a sign to come that can hit a little bit, because he's called Little Yachty for a reason, and that's about as big a compliment as you can get at the catcher position.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so let's see. What else do I have on here? I think that was it for fan call-outs. Did you have any more, Mike, that you saw on there? I'm not sure if anything hit today. I didn't get a chance to check.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But I do want to thank all those people for giving the shout-outs and keeping the roll going on our humble little program here.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep them coming. We love to answer questions because we have like a group thing going on in here where we're just like, oh, we love these guys, and we don't get to hear what else is happening in Boston and what the rest of New England thinks, and we like to hear what our fans have to say, and call us out when you think we're talking bogus talk.
Everybody's worried about the back end of the rotation and the bullpen here in Boston.
Yep. That's what I've heard, and that's what I'm worried about too. All right. Well, I think that we're probably going to kick you off, Mike, and then Mike, you're going to be here in studio next week.
That's right, baby.
Yes. All right. Well, you have a safe trip back, and we'll talk to you again next week then, Mike.
Sounds good, Ben. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Go Sox.
All right. So, guys, just a couple more notes before we wrap it up for this week. Your friend and mine, or your favorite and mine, rather, Kevin Youkilis, he is opening up a brewery in Los Gatos, California, called Loma Brewing Company. Mike, I don't know if you're still on or you can still hear me. We're going to have to check that one out at some point, I think. That sounds pretty promising. Xander Bogaerts, second in wins above replacement. The only person ahead of him right now, Clayton Kershaw. AL MVP, I think it's possible. I think it's definitely possible. The Red Sox signed CJ Chatham, their second-round pick, for $1.1 million. They've also been signing a couple other of their draft picks under the slotted amount. I think they're prepping to sign their first-rounder and give him that bonus that he's looking for. And lastly, we're going to leave off with something that I swore that I wasn't going to talk about, and that was Pablo Sandoval. Rumor is out that he is feeling much better ahead of schedule on his recovery, and he's losing weight? I don't know. We'll see. We'll believe it when we see it. Anyways, that's all for this week, guys. I'm Ben Fay, and you've been listening to AfterBuzz's TV, Red Sox Wrap 360.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later, Red Sox Nation.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.